Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Winners Ways podcast. I am so excited today to have a guest with us. We have VK. VK is in the house today. So he's going to be sharing with us about entrepreneurship. VK is an entrepreneur. He does marketing, and he is the CEO of ROI Media Works. So we are going to be talking about entrepreneurship, digital marketing, mindset coaching, and how you can win in life. So without keeping you guys waiting further, let's bring VK in. Hey, VK, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Adibola. I appreciate that.
All right, that's fantastic. So, can you introduce yourself to my audience so they can get to know who you are?
Um, I'm VK, like in any, and friends call me Krishna as well because it's just from my origins where I am. And I have been an entrepreneur, especially on the technology, finding solutions for business and implementing them to solve a problem. And that's my 14 years experience building companies. And now I'm still CEO at ROI MediaWorks, a digital marketing agency. And like we all have passion projects. So during that time, I co-authored books and participated in some Emmy Award-winning documentaries and help people with mindset coaching. Because at the end of the day, I think it's just the underlying belief has to be changed to be successful in life.
Oh, that's awesome. So, tell us about that Emmy Award winning documentary that you made.
Oh, I'm really excited because it's a perfect timing, like November 21st. Like we have a Dreamer documentary coming out, and some of these people, I'm an executive producer on that documentary, and the people in the documentary are people like, from X Prize Foundation, Lisa Nicholas, Anushan Sari, and Peter Diamandis, and you see some scenes from Sir Richard Branson. So
Yeah.
uh, it's a passion project, and the whole goal was how do we inspire younger generations to think more about technology and use it in a way so it's productive and it's solving problems and it's helping humanity. And the documentary features the all these people that have already done it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So that was the first step of changing the mindset. Like, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't know if I can do this. But when you see 10 people doing it, then you're
That's
like,
right.
hmm,
I can do it.
okay. Right?
That's right. So why is it important to you to inspire younger generation? Because that was what led you guys to writing that documentary, I believe.
Yeah, like we all come different backgrounds and cultures, right? Like you and I didn't choose to be like I want to be born in US, a wealthy country. I'm born and raised in India, right? Like and this there are some patterns that still exist, like okay, 2000 years of humanity existence. We
That's
still
right.
have the poverty, we still have the issues with the how the systems work. And with the way where we are moving forward, it's not changing, and it's important for the younger generations to focus on more on love, kindness, passion, empathy, forgiveness, like those emotions that allows us to be humans rather than living in a capitalistic society. I'm not against money, I love money, but there is a limit, right? If you have $100,000, spending $1,000 is fine, but if you have $10 million, how much do you really need? At
Mhm.
what point can you think about being grateful? I want to do more because the money energy that I have is really helping me to change the world. So I want to make a difference, right? So it's like there are a lot of trauma during my childhood. Like we all grow up with different scenarios in life. So as part of that healing for myself, I'm like, I want to do more, solve this problem so I can heal myself. So there is a kind of like selfishness there, but at the same time, it's a bigger picture I'm looking at, right? Like making that difference on the world stage.
Oh, that's good. I like the fact that you mentioned kindness, passion, and forgiveness. We don't often talk about those values in our society anymore. I think you adding that to what you do, it's very important. Now let's talk about entrepreneurship.
So
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's solving a problem, right? Like
Right.
I was inspired purely like, during my 16, 17-year-old college kid, just lack of basic necessities. I want to have more money. Like I want to be comfortable in life, right? And then you start getting into that. Okay, you graduated, you're working hard, and then you start your company. And then at some point, you realize that what's important in life, right? Like the entrepreneurship, even though it's purely applied for the business, but thriving life in
Right.
every way possible can be part of the entrepreneurship. So I started a marketing agency back in 2010 here in Canada. It's ROI MediaWorks. You guys can look it up. Uh, I have identified a niche where small and medium businesses doesn't have the technology or means to go and put themselves out there. So if you are selling a product, now you're not just competing with the store right across. You're competing with like Amazon and all these big chains where they can buy things cheaper and sell it cheaper. So basically, the local microeconomy of local businesses start disappearing. So my goal was, how do I create a marketing and advertising solutions for these businesses so they are still relevant? The people that care about local economy still go and shop there. And we use Google products and Facebook products to get the message out there.
Oh, that's good. So basically, you helped small businesses to get the word out, and that I think it's very, very important. Tell us the how now. How do you do that? How do you find all these small businesses that you can help to continue to attract customers so that they can also thrive and grow?
So every business is different. And I think most of the business owners, they all start as like passion projects. Like I love cooking, so I'm going to open a restaurant, right? Like I like painting, so I'm going to be an artist. So at what point they need to learn more about the business operations and all aspects of it, like that is where the education and knowledge happens, right? So everything has to be learned so that they know how to run the business. And people like myself go and look at it. Okay, you had to make changes to your cash flow because you're not making enough money. But how do you do that? At the end of the day, it's all through the sales. But how do you generate the sales? It's through marketing and advertising. You have to be relevant in the markets no matter what, right? Like how many businesses were like completely shut down during COVID, but there are some brands, they're still advertising. It's just being strategic. And the tools that we use are very unique because there's a lot of data available about, you know, now, for example, Apple is listening to me or Google is listening to me and then trying to figure out what Krishna loves, right? Like, I'm not kidding you. Like this is Snoopy shirt. Like everybody loves Snoopy. Like, he says smile every day. Like that's my reminder. So on Fridays, I wear some funny shirt. So it's I was buying the shirt. I was talking to my son, and then all of a sudden I start seeing all these graphic t-shirts ads coming up, right? I'm like, I didn't even search it on Google, right? So that
They
happened.
listen.
So
They know what you want, basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they're kind of making whatever I'm thinking. It's all about the behavioral way of what I want and put it right on my face, right? And then the technology is not, I mean, it's available, but can it be affordable for small and medium businesses, right? So for me, okay, if I'm paying like $1 million a year for a software license and then doing these things, but I can offer it for small businesses, right? Like, okay, there's $10,000, there's $10,000, right? That's how I can offer those solutions rather than they investing $1 million into this technology,
Right.
right? I'm just using the numbers just for the sake of it so people can understand it. And I think every business has a struggle of diversifying themselves. Like from the research, every business makes 80% of the money from the 20% of the product they sell.
That's
No matter
correct.
if it's
Yeah.
restaurant or retail, whatever, wherever you go.
Mhm.
But how do you niche into that? Either sell more or add more relevant products, right?
Mhm.
You can't have like 100 products and selling 20 and then 80 are not making any money. So how do you look at changing that so you're kind of leveraging the time selling the 80 products, but put more towards into the 20 products. But how do you create more of the 20 products, right? So it's a strategy at different levels, and through the entrepreneurship mindset coaching, I look at the business as a whole, and I can relate to myself because I was a programmer, but
Uh,
I wanted to be a business person, right?
mhm.
So I joined a mastermind group. This is going back like 2009, 2010, right? Join the mastermind group, look at the programs that can really help me to understand what the entrepreneurship is about, right? So I did an online course from MIT about entrepreneurship 101, like Bill Allen. He's a great guy. So the same models that's used by these Silicon Valley companies can be replicated and applied at a small business environment as well. But you have to know that exists, right? So I learned all these things. I was driving like 1,000 kilometers every weekend just to go and attend that class because that's the only place they were offering. And this is through the Canadian government as well. So it's a free
Uh-huh.
program. Why am I missing it? I'll just go and learn it. I just have to drive back and forth. That's it, right? So I think it's important for every entrepreneur to learn those skills and develop those skills personally or the team, right? Because you want to have a team, so you're kind of delegating and you're kind of leaving the business on autopilot and you're just kind of overseeing things. And I think that's the ultimate dream every entrepreneur should have. And that's what we work towards with every clients.
Wow, that's awesome. So you spoke about mindsets, mindset coaching. What does that mean? If you don't mind explaining it to us.
So mindset is basically there is like my personal philosophy, good or bad, that happens in life and business, whatever it is, but it all comes back to what you believe in, right? Like there are people who dreamed of going to the space from the childhood, no matter whoever told them you can't do this, they did it, right? But where did that flip happen? Right here, right? Like the thinking and the nurturing and dreaming of where we want to be. And with the mindset coaching, it's all about changing the ideas from I can't do this to how can I do this? I'm going to do this. This is the end result. And then once that flip happened, it's easy to do it. Like a lot of people get confused, like, I don't know how I'm going to get from here to there. But all you need to do is like know that next 10 steps, right? Like I was driving in the snow over the weekend, and it's all foggy, and I can't see the road. All I could see is just that 10 feet in front of me, right?
Right.
And the thought to me, yeah, like I don't need to know where that is. I can see there's nothing in front of me in the 10 feet, so I'm good, right? So it's just all about changing that mindset and having things and tools to do it in the now, but always keeping in mind where you want to be, right? Like this is my year goal, this is my 2 years, 3 years goal. Always keep that in mind. Like what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is like we all find to um, have that squirrel mindset and finding that lucky penny. Okay, let's try this, right? Works for some people, but I always look at what is your long-term goal? And then what are the steps that you're taking today that's getting you there to accomplish those goals?
Awesome. I like what you said about having that goals to let the goals drive us, because really if people don't have goals, they will just be living an what I call accidental life, whereby anything that comes their way, they just take it. But if you have a goal and you let your goal drive you, definitely you are going to continue to make some progress as you move on in your journey. So that's very important. And thank you very much for touching on that. I also want to ask you about mistakes, because you've been an entrepreneur for 14 years. Definitely there are some mistakes that you have made. Or maybe there are some mistakes that you see other people make in their business. I want you to share with us maybe one or two mistakes that you think entrepreneurs are making as they set up their business.
It's all about like fail forward, right? Like there's no such thing as perfection, and there's no such thing as you'll be successful the first time, right? And this is where the patience comes in. Like I had two other startups like during the same period, but I had to exit from those because one of them is too early to the market. The other one is basically I didn't have the IPO, basically the protection from a bigger player just copying over the whole thing, right? So it's scary. Like you can have everything foolproof and then everything is going well, but all of a sudden there is something new happens. So this is where the mindset come in. Like you have everything, but if there's a curveball, you know how to deal with it, right? You're not afraid of not dealing with it. Expect something could happen and be ready for it. And what are the main fundamentals in a business is basically the cash flow, the team, the process and systems. 90% of the time, everything works well, but the 10%, it can go wrong. But if it is a Twitter, 90% can go wrong, depending on who the leader is, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, like I ran out of money sometimes. It was like close call. Like thankfully, I never took any loan, but I depended on the grants to innovate into the technology. So looking for the ways, right? Like you want to have your basics covered no matter what in the business or personal life, but also build from there, right? So when you fall, who's that? Like Jim, I forgot his name. Like when you fall back, look up so you can get it fast. It's a
Yeah,
Jim.
I,
Yeah,
I, I think I know that quote. Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us, how is ROI Media different from other digital marketing companies out there?
As soon as you kind of like say, digital agency, everybody thinks, okay, like, it's like there's a lot of social media gigpreneurs. Basically, they do one job at a time. Like, so there is so much happening in our industry. So the distinction is purely comes from the results, right? Like the how and why is kind of out of the question for a lot of business owners because they want to see how much money did I generate at the end of this month because you ran these marketing campaigns, right? And how do you track all of that sales that are coming through, whether it's phone calls, online bookings, whatever, having those measurements, and then you spend $1,000, you made $3,000, right? Like the 3x, 5x, or 10x returns. This is where they need to be focused on, right? So even me, like, there is a consistency in posting on Facebook and Instagram, but I do forget some days, like, okay, if I don't review it or I have something else to take care of it, right?
Right.
So I'm basically falling out of the feed again. So I'm kind of trying to climb up, right? A lot of people just post. And then when you look at it, not even like 0.04% of people are actually looking and engaging with the content. But how do you let them engage with the content, right? So there is paid ads. So once they start engaging, what do you want them to do, right? What kind of messaging you have, what kind of conversions you set up. So you're looking at, okay, 100 people actually interacted with my ad, 10 people came to the website, I got a sale out of that, right? So tracking that whole 360 from Google, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, no matter where the traffic is coming from, and turning that website into a sales engine, right? If somebody is just looking at from pure branding point of view, you want to have different measurements on how this can be measured. So once you have that, you want to look at it like, is it worth my time, right? So some of my Instagram reels, like even on LinkedIn the other day, I had like, I think 1,500 impressions, right? Like some of my reels go like 15,000, and one of the reels like went with like, I think it was close to 1 million views, right? So when you look at it, if you're paying $30 for 1,000 impressions, that's like 3,000 worth of free advertising, right?
Right.
Like this is what we use when we're measuring the brand awareness, right? So you're basically using the content to leverage the free exposure that you can get.
Oh, I like that. So that's good. So if my audience want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch?
Like I have my personal website, lakineni.com, LAKKINENI.com, or ROI MediaWorks. You can just Google it, find me. Instagram is where I focus, Instagram and Facebook, because I do get a lot of people reaching out and say, hey, I have a problem, or my daughter is taking this course. Like, do you think MIT is good or Yale is good, right? So I'm always there to help people just to find their own path and, continue on their own journey.
Oh, perfect. So as we are wrapping up, I always want my guests maybe to share some motivational messages or thoughts with my audience so that they can, we talked about mindset and, winners ways is about winning. So do you have a sentence or two that you can leave with us that will keep my audience motivated that, hey, they have a bright future ahead of them?
It's all about the mindset, right? Like, I'm the mindset monk. That's how I go, right? If you want to win in life, it all comes to the emotions and how we respond to those emotions, not react to. You're not just reacting. So how that's usually connected to your personal peace, happiness, and joy in life, right? You can have multi-million dollars business, but if you don't have the mental peace, basically you're struggling every day with that stress and depression. So I want people to look at it like business is separate. I'm me and what is important to me and my joy, happiness with the family or the God that I'm connected to. How do I see life differently? It's just not about the money, right? So I want people to think broad ways, like what is most important to me? What is that I'm doing with my family and in my community, and how I'm making a difference with my entrepreneurship.
All right. And we have come to the end of the show today. Thank you very much, VK, for joining us. It's all about mindset. Don't react, but respond. That's what VK told us. Guys, keep winning. I know that if you have goals, if you have the right attitude and the right mindset, success is surely on your way. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. I appreciate you having me again.